From the national headquarters of RT America in our nation's capital, hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez. There are two statements today that are being put out by the world's two superpowers, both having to do with Venezuela, interestingly enough. First of all, the Russian Foreign Minister's office, as reported by Sputnik, is saying that the U.S. has already decided to use force in Venezuela. There's the story, the graphic that we put together for you, the statement that came out of the spokesperson for the Russian foreign minister. So here's the question. Do the Russians really have inside information about what the United States is or is not going to do inside Venezuela? Or are the Russians just stirring the pot? Most likely, they're stirring the pot. After all, governments have interests, whether it's the Kremlin, Beijing, or Washington, and it's our job, vis-a-vis my job as your reporter, to take everything that any government says with a grain of salt, right? That's what we're supposed to do. That's what journalists are supposed to do. So it is with this that the U.S. yesterday announces that Hezbollah is in Venezuela. So that's the statement we're getting today from the United States of America, that Hezbollah is in Venezuela. Here's Mike Pompeo.
I'm glad you brought that up. People don't recognize that Hezbollah has active cells. The Iranians are impacting the people of Venezuela and throughout South America. We have an obligation to take down that risk for America.
Hezbollah in Venezuela. Really? Does that even make any sense? Does that really pass the credulity test? NRS correspondent Michele Greenstein is going to be drilling down on both of these assertions for us, the Russian assertion and the American assertion, to see if there's any evidence to support either one of them, because that's what we're supposed to do, right? And let me mention something here on this issue of why I don't just do what CNN or Fox News or NBC would do and just simply report whatever Mike Pompeo says, as if it were the gospel, right? First of all, most governments, including both Russia and America's, have a history of being less than honest when it comes to wars. All governments, by the way. All the way from World War I through Afghanistan, through Iraq, the examples would fill an entire library, right? And if you're wondering if I can love and respect my country while questioning it, because this is what I do here, right? Let me answer with a question. Let me answer this with a question for you. You're watching me. And if you're wondering, gosh, Rick Sanchez really goes after the United States. He must not be a patriot, or he must not love America, right? Do you love your kids any less when you verify why they don't do their homework or brush their teeth? When we call out our kids, does that mean we don't love them? In fact, I would argue that questioning or even disciplining our kids shows that we love them even more. So it is with what we're supposed to do, and that is to question our government. And by the way, think about this. With trillions of dollars to be made off of what our leaders say and do regarding wars and our foreign policies, we would be nuts not to question more. This is how we do it. This is the News with Rick Sanchez, where we're convinced it is time to do news again. We've got a special report on this. I recently began reading books about how Americans were lied into supporting World War I. I didn't know that. So as I'm reading through some of these books, I found the comparisons to the things that are happening in my lifetime, your lifetime, almost creepy. In fact, let me share a quote with you. This is from, you ready? This is so cool. You're going to love this. This is from 1918. 1918. That's when some guy named U.S. Senator Hiram Warren stood up in the U.S. Senate and he uttered the following words, immortal words. Listen to this. He said this quote, "The first casualty of any war is truth." The first casualty of any war is truth. I mean, think about that. Apropos for our times, there's so much to consider before we accept any statement at face value from anybody. For example, what are the interests of the governments that are saying whatever they're saying? Who are their allies that are benefiting from what they're saying or what they're doing? And what about the person who says it? For example, what do we really know today? What do you know about Secretary of State Mike Pompeo? We're going to get to those in just a minute, but I want to show you something else right now. Talk about things that are really cool. I want to show you snapshots from Caracas, Venezuela. This is the place we here is in absolute pandemonium and on the brink of blowing up, right? I mean, we're hearing it's crazy down there. Oh, my God. So we just asked normal people in Venezuela. We contacted people in Venezuela and asked them just to take out their phones and take pictures today, just of everyday life, whatever was going on. If there were protests, if there was something, what's going on, and to send it to them. So here we go. This is, somebody sent us this picture. It's from the subway in Caracas. People waiting for the subway or the metro or whatever you want to call it to come by. All right, let's switch. This is the plaza. This is the plaza. It's called the Plaza Venezuela, to be exact, which is near the Universidad Central, or the Central University of Venezuela. Not much going on, right? Pretty picture, nice buildings. Okay, here are people walking on the main boulevard of Caracas. It's one of the main boulevards. This is called the Sabana Grande. That was today. It was just a couple of hours ago. Somebody took that picture and sent it to us here, so we can show it to you. That's Venezuela, today, right now. All right, here's a lady selling empanadas. She's selling empanadas on the streets of Caracas. Cool, right? Probably delicious, by the way. Venezuelan empanadas are like some of the best in Latin America. So we asked people to shoot what the city looks like, whatever's going on, shoot it, so we could see the real scenes of what's going on in Caracas. And we thought it would be cool to share that with you, just citizens, right? Pandemonium, chaos, riots, not so much. Michele Greenstein is our correspondent. She's been drilling down today on a couple of things. So what we want to do is, thanks, Michele, for joining us. I think What we want to do is kind of try and take these in order. So first, you saw where we started this newscast today with the Russian, this is the lady who is the spokesperson for the foreign minister of Russia.
Yes.
And she's essentially saying that they got the goods. The United States is getting ready to do something military in Venezuela.
Exactly.
Fact, fiction, or bluster?
So look, it's possible that Russia has some intel that they haven't shared with us, so they may know that the U.S. is planning a full-blown military intervention. Mm-hmm. But it looks like what they're really saying is that the U.S. is set on regime change, and it's only a matter of time before an actual military intervention happens. This is something that people like Pompeo...
So no evidence, though?
Not that we've seen. Maybe Russia has some evidence.
Right. But it sounds like bluster. Let's be fair. Right? It sounds like bluster.
But it is quite reasonable to suggest that the U.S. might do this in the future, because we've tried military intervention in Venezuela before. We did that within, people's lifetime.
Yeah. But that's conjecture. And we're not talking about conjecture. I mean, I can do that. You can do that. Right. Journalists can do that. The Russian government saying that takes it to a different level.
Exactly.
And either they have the evidence or they don't have the evidence. And you're here to say you haven't seen anything as far as evidence.
I have not seen anything.
Perfect. Next one. Let's go to the next one. Pompeo. Pompeo says that Hezbollah is, which by the way is kind of
a Lebanese militia.
A Lebanese militia, but the Israelis say that they're the worst, some of the worst terrorists in the world, right?
Right.
So Pompeo says today they are in Venezuela. Fact, fiction, or bluster?
So there is fact to the idea that there are members of Hezbollah in Venezuela, yes. But what Pompeo tried to say is that they are, controlling the Venezuelan government in some way. And a member of the media from Fox News said, Mike Pompeo has confirmed that this is true. And I think that's very telling, because some members of the media will take what are, members of the state, Secretary of State in this case, say as fact instead of questioning it like you do. So yes, you can link Hezbollah to Venezuela, and that's not the first time Mike Pompeo has done this.
Wait. Let's slow down. How do we link Hezbollah to Venezuela?
So look, it's the same situation with Russia. Maybe Mike Pompeo has some intel that we don't know, right? But what we do know is that there is at least one member of Hezbollah that lives in Venezuela right now.
So there's a person who's a member of Hezbollah who lives in Venezuela.
Right, and
that's it.
All there.
That's
exactly.
all you got. No big plans or
but it's quite. It makes sense for Washington to try to make this link because, of course, we are trying to justify, this.
Of course, if you could put a terrorist in Venezuela, then it's better, ammunition for wanting to have some kind of intervention in Venezuela.
And I would only add that it's not the first time Washington has linked Hezbollah to Venezuela.
Yeah, I think we've heard that before.
Exactly.
So, but generally speaking, it looks more like a tiny bit of truth, but generally fiction.
Right. He said Iran's there, Russia's there, Cuba's there.
Finally, and I know you're working on a piece that you're going to be bringing us today at 8 o'clock, or tonight at 8 o'clock, and we're very much looking forward to that. We've been asking ourselves here at RT, because lately it seems like we're seeing less of Donald Trump and much more of Mike Pompeo. Every day we get a major declaration involving a global decision from Mike Pompeo.
Right.
Most Americans did not vote for Mike Pompeo as kind of the leader of the world. So I'm left to wonder.
We never do vote for Secretary of State.
Who is this guy?
Right.
Right?
So this is a guy who, has a bit of a military background. He graduated first in his class from West Point Military University. And he did fulfill the minimum requirement for active duty, which is 5 years. But even though he was in the Army until '91, he actually was not deployed during the Gulf War, despite numerous reports alleging that he did. He went to Harvard, he graduated, and then worked as an associate at this law firm where he worked mostly on tax litigation. And then he started taking money from the Koch industries and the Koch brothers and some of their front groups. And then he ran for Congress, and you know the rest.
Well, yeah, and let's get this story. I'm looking forward to the piece that you're putting together for us. Programming
it's quite
note.
extensive.
It's going to be a story Michelle's putting together on who is Mike Pompeo, laid out on video. Thanks for working on that, and we'll look forward to seeing that.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.